and I saw an article in the paper, notice in the paper that some people wanted to start a local Greenpeace group. That sounded really interesting. So I went to this meeting, and there were 6 or 7 people. That wasn't very many. But we made an effort to try to talk about some of the big global issues that Greenpeace is interested in. And I think all of us began to realize that we really should focus more on what's going on right in our neighborhood, in our community, and that we could make more of an impact by doing that than by trying to, fix the world.
It was Brian and Phil and Roger, and they were members, I believe, of Greenpeace. And years ago, maybe 3 years ago, they decided they wanted to start up Greenpeace in Redlands. And they said, well, maybe it's not such a good idea to be in Redlands doing Greenpeace, such a big national thing. What can we do in this community? And Roger dreamt about the title of this organization, and that's how it started. And then it kind of bumped along for about a year, trying to figure out where it wanted to go. And then we had the festival last year, and that kind of started things. And then we've had these forums every 3 months that you probably know about. And then we're still kind of finding our way and growing and getting our name out there too.
There was some issues about whether we could do what Greenpeace wanted. And some people suggested, well, why can't we do our own group, our own organization specifically tailored for the Redlands area?
I think it was a group of people that wanted to come together and share ideas and share stories and talk and a little bit socialize too.
Kind of a network, very loosely connected individuals that have a strong personal commitment to sustainability, and they are working as individuals coming together in this loose coalition to try to raise awareness.
I think basically getting educated was part of our motivation. I mean, a lot of us have kind of read the big stuff and we know about the big problems, but those are kind of academic in a way, and we were really wanting to make things real right here.
One of the big ideas that we want to do is sort of network and bring groups and services all together in this town. Like, say, for example, the gardening groups. That's very sustainable, but they're all separate, and one of the things that we're doing at our festival is bringing them all together, and they can share ideas. And that's this kind of networking. That's part of why our name is Network, Redlands Sustainability Network.
Greenpeace has this kind of dramatic sense. They want to do these big things, like have people climb on buildings and put up big signs and stuff. So, I'm too old for that purposely, and that's not really what turns me on. I'd really rather get conversations going locally and do what we can here.
I think another focus of this group has been to do efforts on the grassroots level. We're really trying to support this community and educate the community about what the problems are, what the solutions are, what the future is, those things. And I think rather than focusing on connecting with big organizations, we've been trying to get this community more aware, and the city government also.
Let's see, equity, environment, and economy, the local economy. Those 3 E's were really our thoughts. We wanted not just focus on environment. We didn't want to be just an environmental organization. We wanted to broaden the concept a bit.
A number of the people in the Redlands Sustainability Network have been involved in city council issues for many years. They've worked through the city council to get stuff accomplished.
Before we were involved, there were members of the current group who helped write the policy.
The plan, the whole sustainability plan
for the city.
Back in 2007, when there was a real movement for local governments to get engaged in sustainability and climate action, I led the effort here in Redlands to get a climate action plan, or what we call the Redlands Sustainability Plan, prepared and adopted, working with all volunteer group from the city Subsequent to that getting adopted in 2010, the Redlands Sustainability Network established itself and has really taken on the charge of promoting the ideas that are in that plan in terms of how Redlands individuals or the community can be more sustainable.
What this organization did was have this little meeting, and they split this meeting into 10 groups, and it was the sustainability plan, 10 groups. Here's water, here's building, here's transportation, here's farms, and everybody picked a table where they would go and brainstormed and picked like 10 things that they would like to work on or be interested in.
Land use, transportation, energy efficiency, renewable energy, public engagement.
And that got people, you had 150 people like came and signed up for these groups. And an interesting thing that I saw, the results of those, is on the top of each of those 10 groups, the priority was always education.
We try to have a very diverse group of people engaged in the process. Well, we had some local business individuals to make sure the business community's perspective was represented. We also had one guy who had been essentially involved in preparing and reviewing some of the original UN-based sorts of materials. So he, scientists in one of the universities here. We had people from the utility companies so that we could really understand how we could work with the gas company or the electric company and their kinds of programs so we could fold those in to the plan.
You know, so the state has the California Green Community, I think is what it's called, certification. And it has like 10 or 12 main focuses: water, energy, building, historical preservation, you know, all those things. And they give cities this certification. Riverside has it full on. Palm Springs, I believe, does. Santa Clarita does. Claremont is getting it. There's a couple cities in Los Angeles. And part of that certification is developing a sustainability plan for the city. And so Redlands has done that, and that's a big deal. And they've been, if you go on their website, you'll see that they've done, under those 10 or 12 points, 3 or 4 major things that they've done under each of those points. Mm-hmm. And so they're working on getting this certification.
The first guiding principle that we applied in creating the sustainability plan was that it had to make sure it made economic sense.
Of course. Yeah.
If something we proposed was going to be an economic detriment to the city, it didn't get into the plan. And they really are. You are able to balance all those things.
The city's moving to more environmentally friendly street lights, for instance, and cleanup issues and dealing with the trash. In the city. Like I say, we're going to be pushing the idea of phasing out throwaway stuff. We'd like to get behind a ban on the bags.
We weren't terribly well organized, but we started to think about this idea of the festival. We had our first festival last year on campus, and it was very successful, I thought. I mean, we really pulled it off, even though we didn't know what we were doing exactly. I mean, it was a lot of things we were learning as we went along.
Our exhibitors that we have with the festival, we have developed a lot of relationships with them. And Sierra Club is one. A lot of the garden clubs, Horticulture Society, the Master Gardeners, Conservancies. Yeah. One of our exhibitors is a financial advisor that specializes in socially responsible investing, and he's been invited to speak at the divestment group that the students have. Here. So it's like there's a little networking going on, just kind of casual, but nothing really, formal.
That was our whole idea of the network, was to kind of find what was going on in the community already. What were people doing that was sustainable, and how could they put it forth so other people could learn from it.
We're going to have the woman who runs the sustainability department at the city of Palm Springs.
Michelle Mycian. I'm the Sustainability Manager with the City of Palm Springs, and I'm here tonight to speak with the members of the Redlands Sustainability Group to talk about what we're doing in Palm Springs and how it may be implemented here. I started from scratch. There was nothing. There was no sustainability department, just a really expensive plan that I had to implement with about over 100 different wish lists, 100 different initiatives. The expected things were, hey, set up a program. So I actually bought a URL, yoursustainablecity.com, started branding and marketing, really important to get the community involved. Found local community partners, started creating programs. Things like rebates and incentives for energy efficient appliances or for edible landscape, that actually came later, which is fun. Or for desert landscape, putting electric vehicle infrastructure, unexpected things to be put in charge of health and wellness. Because it became a part of what we incorporated into our sustainability plan, and that was a very interesting and a lot of work, a lot of additional work that I had to just kind of grind out, and it's really rewarding though, adding that health and wellness aspect. And I branded the wellness program Healthy Planet, Healthy You, to get people to understand that they go hand in hand. I got a job in Florida as a neighborhood planner. In neighborhood planning, I did the environmental programs through neighborhood involvement. So they were really energetic, and they seemed like a really perfect fit. Why not empower or assist people with empowering themselves to do environmental work rather than it coming from a top-down city government? I think because I noticed that working with neighborhood groups and local government was the best impact. You can think that things coming from the federal level, whatever, we say buy local, act local too. It's really powerful. When you educate people locally to make change, it's so effective and long-lasting and sustainable that it becomes a part of the culture. And I think that's what drew me to doing it that way. It felt instinctual.
Really, we've struggled with that from the beginning, about how political we should be. And my take on that has always been we should be for things and not oppose them.
I think you could take positions on issues that are, without necessarily attaching them to a piece of legislation, but you could say, like, one of the things I would like to see us do is get involved with the state effort to have a bag ban, a plastic bag ban. I think that, frankly, I think we could support that, but it is a piece of legislation, so we have to kind of be careful we don't identify our interest as being only legislative.
I suppose they have the potential of becoming a political organization, but I think I would think they're going to be more effective as examples or advocates. To me, the word political has connotations of confrontation. Unfortunately, our society has turned it into that. But if they are advocates for things that will make a difference, they have great potential. They need to get a few more significant accomplishments under their belt. But the fact that they put on this sustainability festival 2 years now is a pretty big deal. So they really are people are gaining awareness of them. If they can maybe come up with some specific programs that they pursue very, very focused manner, I think they'll grow even more.
How much of a political organization do we want to be? It's a valid question, but as far as implementing change, even on a small sort of community scale, you kind of have to work with.
It becomes political, even though you don't want it to.
I think several of us would be happy to be quasi-political at least, but in order to get tax exempt status, we had to ask the Redlands Community Foundation to front for us, because they have the 501(c) or what they call it. If you're in that category, you explicitly can't be political. You can't form a committee and support a certain candidate.
For national politics, I think I'm as cynical as you are.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, unfortunately, what's driving many, your generation and others, to kind of just step back from getting engaged in their community, because they see the catastrophe at the national level of just being focused on ideologies rather than solutions. And we need to, people, your generation, my generation, have to recognize we've got to focus on solutions and get past ideology. Within those ideologies, you'll find that you've got so much overlap in what you actually want to accomplish for different reasons perhaps, but there is no overlap.
One of the challenges of working with this group, on one hand is tremendous diversity of perspectives and time that people have. They're very, very busy, most of them. And on the positive side, I would say, the diversity of the group. It can be a little bit negative because people have different perspectives, but then it's really positive too.
It's really unfortunate in our area that the communities here don't collaborate too much on those sort of sustainability or quality of life issues. And that's too bad, because I think we could achieve a lot more.
The sustainability plan had some problems getting passed, frankly. There was some opposition.
Well, there's always been in Redlands a little bit of skepticism in, I think, a minority of the community about whether or not climate change is real or whether it's man-caused.
A lot of people who feel that the environmental agenda is subversive of the American way of life and is embracing globalism, thwart national sovereignty.
I think the other barrier that has been for Redlands is having a person on staff that is 100% committed to pursuing those kind of programs across all the other departments.
There's been a lot of talk about where we want to go with the organization. What policies and groups do we want to assist or fight for? It's still sort of in the planning stages. And I think, again, when the festival's done, we keep talking about that. Where are we going with this organization?
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe that we have, as a country, been so freaking dumb about what the serious implications are of not doing something about climate change. It's just, to me, mind-boggling that we're this far behind us. So I think all of us hope that we can contribute in some way to that conversation, but just being another voice in that larger arena, I think, makes it less likely that we'll have an impact than if we can really change the consciousness locally. I don't know if Redlands will come to the point of Claremont or Santa Monica or Palm Springs, but if it does, get anywhere close, that would be great. I think basically the fact that we've seen as much progress as we have in 1 year from the first festival to the second is, to me, very encouraging. The fact that people want to connect with what we're doing is, to me, very encouraging. So I think we've exceeded our expectations actually at this point.
The first step before you can act is to feel that acting is worthwhile. A lot of people have fallen either into despair about the environment. The other one is into falling into denial. There is no problem that we have to worry about. Where'd you get that idea, So once you deal with the idea that acting is not a waste of time, that it's worth your while, then you can move forward and join groups that have action plans. Don't always feel that you're isolated. Get involved with groups. Take responsibility for your own actions, that they can be worth your while.
The public needs to be educated. The citizens need to be educated. The students. It was always about educating, and that comes first.
I really enjoy educating. I was an adjunct faculty for a while, so I really got to hone those skills of trying to get a message across and to not be a person who tells you how to do things, but to really help hey, this is what I know, let me share.
Yeah.
I feel like that approach is much more effective than anything.
It's issues that have go way beyond national concerns to a broader issue of questioning whether we can survive as a species on the earth.
It's all about connection. We're all connected. All of these things are connected. Water's connected to energy, and plants are connected to water, and food, and it's all connected. So the more that you're in tune with that, the more likely you're going to find the path where you're serving best.
As you were saying earlier, there's so many potential subjects around which to coalesce in sustainability that makes it kind of daunting. But if you pick one that matters to you and really have a group that focuses on that, you do make a difference in your local community.